financial literacy, and the human condition. Welcome to Financial Fitness with the Money Doctor, Dr. Francis Rayam.
I got onto my life purpose probably at 34 years old, somewhere around there, that I wanted to help people become financially self-empowered.
Yeah.
And when I realized that that wasn't about money itself, it was about behavior, everything changed in my life.
Hi, it's Francis. I just wanted to take a minute to thank you for watching this video. If you're catching us on YouTube, please help us help others by clicking like, subscribe, and all notifications so you don't miss any videos. And check back for the next video. I think you're going to love it. Thanks again. For more information, you can visit us at hugyourmoney.com.
Welcome to Financial Fitness. I'm Jess Tyler, along with the Money Doctor, Dr. Francis Rayam. Hi.
Hi, Jess. How are you?
I am great. And you have a guest. Not only do you have a guest, but they have an amazing accent too.
Well, we're going to hear that in a moment, actually. Yes, joining us today is Hugh Massey. And Hugh is the executive chairman and the founder of DNA Behavior International. And he's a pioneer in the field of behavioral DNA. For decades, Hugh has studied how our natural, the way we're wired, right? How our natural decision-making patterns, the thing I'm very interested in finance, influence everything from investing and leadership to business success and financial well-being, a thing we talk about all the time. So Hugh, welcome to the show.
It's great to be with you, Francis, and Jess as well. I'm really looking forward to the conversation.
Us too. Now, before everybody starts to ask us where you come from, it's not England.
Yeah, it's not England. It's way south of there. It's Australia, just to be clear, and that's not New Zealand or South Africa.
Exactly. I don't know why people get accents so muddled, but it's wonderful to have you on the show. And so Hugh and I connected in an unusual way, I think, but we talk a lot about, how we're wired and what makes couples and individuals make their decisions certain ways. And when I met Hugh, it was really fascinating. In fact, we'll get into a little bit of it, but he gave me a report about myself, a DNA report about myself. Now, I could have given him details and it would have been an even more detailed report, but I didn't give him details. He went out and got the open intelligence information that's out there, and his company created this report. And let me just break the myth right now. If you think this is a horoscope or some sort of fortune-telling thing, it might feel like that because so many things resonate, but it isn't that. It's so much more than that. And I learned things about myself. I thought, wow, that's amazing. I really do that. So that was really interesting. So Hugh, you've spent decades studying why people behave the way they do with money. And in your experience, can you tell me, this is a big question to start with, but is lasting financial freedom more about changing our habits or changing the way we understand ourselves?
I think the first step is that you've got to change or get clarity of how you understand yourself. So I think that the first step is, yes, changing the way you understand yourself. And, in some ways that is, Francis, learning to love yourself for who you are, but have real clarity of your strengths and struggles. And from that, then you can go and build the right habits. We've all got some strengths and struggles out there for wealth creation. And I think it's about knowing what they are, and then it's building the habits to capitalize on those and to ensure that the struggles don't become a weakness. So we never talk about weaknesses, because a weakness is a struggle not attended to. Is if you can manage the struggles and be aware of it, then you can stop yourself from being derailed as far as building wealth.
It's interesting. I recently was having a conversation with a colleague, and he was asked in one of his early job interviews, what makes a person smart? Who's the smartest person in the room? And people were giving these elaborate answers. And his answer was, I think it's knowing what you don't know. So many people think that money is about knowledge and discipline and strategy. And if you don't have those, you're going to be bad with money. And I don't think that, and you don't think that, I think. Where does behavioral wiring fit into the picture of how people manage their money?
So I think it's the starting place, because I think the premise I came from is, if you understand your hardwired behavior, what we would call deep natural architecture, that's the DNA part, which is some combination of genetics, but a smaller part is genetics, and then the bigger part is the early life experiences that you have. That shapes your life perspectives. And so your hardwired DNA behavior is shaped largely by the time you're 3 years old. So that's before you've ever come into contact with money.
Right.
Most people don't have a bank account at that age. They might at 5, and it's a little bit more shaped then. But your life perspectives and an instinctive way that you're going to operate in the world is shaped at that time, by and large.
Yeah.
And it's your life perspectives that shape how you deal with money. So that's the foundational flow that we come at it from.
Thank you. Jess, that brings me to you because you have children.
Yeah. I'm just curious. I mean, this just reminds me very much of like nature versus nurture. Like you're
It
saying
is,
certain
yeah.
things are hardwired in, and then certain things are, how much of it is watching what your parents have done and following. I feel like you either go one of two ways. You either do the same mistakes your parents do, or you go the total opposite direction.
Mm.
So in that respect, you're right. There is nature and nurture. But I would probably be in my family. My father died when I was 1, but I'd be closer to my mother in terms of how money's handled, and my brother would be completely the opposite.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like I'm
And we are
completely
the
different than my
opposite,
sister.
and we're the opposite behaviorally.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's very common. Jess, you said you're the opposite of your sister when it comes to managing money.
Yeah, completely the opposite. Like my mom was very like, let's go have fun. And that's how I am. Where my sister is very like down to the penny. She knows exactly how much she spent on everything. And we were raised with the same parents. So it's just crazily different.
It's really interesting how early that can start. Uh, and of course, before we end the show, we're going to talk about some practical things that people can do, but not yet. So I'm still digging into what is this.
And I think, maybe it's a question you're going to ask me, but this might be the point for me to say it, that if everyone can uncover their DNA, their deep natural architecture, how they're shaped from early in life, that's your starting point. And the reason that I've been big on this is that when you're under pressure, that's what you revert back to. Money and relationships are the two biggest forces out there that put you under pressure, right? Whether it's a marital relationship, business relationship, and then, just dealing with money itself and the emotions of money itself put you under pressure. And so people will naturally revert back to the hardwired behavior. And while it's deeply ingrained in you, including in the neural pathways of the brain, it doesn't mean that you have to be stuck with that behavior for the rest of your life. Right. You can choose to do different things. So if you're inherently a very relational person, which will come with that probably, and sort of liking a social life, that will probably come with being a spender. That doesn't mean you can't learn to build a spending plan. I'd rather use the word spending plan for them than a budget. So the words,
yeah.
It doesn't mean you can't learn to do it.
Right.
It's going to be effort, and there will be some times when you get emotional, there's a little bit of free spending on something. And it's the same for men and women. This is not really that gender biased, but that's the framework I like to come at it. So we can make choices and bring in learned behavior. And now I think to some of what Jess was bringing up is you could be a naturally a spender, but you learn through hard knocks in life that you need to save, and you may watch a parent doing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But underneath, you're a different person.
I have a quick question. So you were saying from 0 to 3, your brain kind of gets hardwired.
Yeah.
Is there anything as a parent, like say you're a parent listening and you've got a kid that's 0 to 3, is there anything you can do to change that or to to instill good stuff versus the bad stuff?
I don't think so. I think the more that probably this is a life principle that you can just keep the home balanced and calm
Mm-hmm.
and basically a normal environment as much as you can. That's all you can do. In a way, within the same family, no two kids, even if they're close in age, come from exactly the same environment. Things, and we're talking, this is sort of getting biological, starting from conception to three. There can be some differences in the environment that that the kids are brought up in, or things that were going on in the household. It's very subtle, but that's nature, and that's why you do get two kids, like me and my brother, 15 months apart, completely opposite. But it can be very subtle. None of this is really birth order related or anything like that. It is just what it is.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, time is flying by here actually, and
Yeah.
I want to get into some stories when we come back from break too. But so I'll give you a little heads up. Start thinking about if you can recall a moment where someone's understanding of their behavioral DNA completely changed their trajectory in their business or their personal finances.
Mm.
And just before we go to break, I know we've said it's deep natural architecture, but is there more that you want to say about what DNA behavior is and why you've named the company the way you have?
Well, the company is named DNA Behavior because of my philosophy that the deep natural architecture is primary in how people make decisions, and it's the starting point, but not the end point, but it's the foundational start. And that's really the driver of the company. And to provide people with a personalized wealth management experience, you need to know this.
Yes, thank you.
Very interesting. Yeah.
I worry that people believe that money is the math part. And in our experience, it is so much not the math part. We can handle the math, right? I mean, that's what professional financial people do. They figure out the math. But you have to be able to do the work. And that might mean that you have to recognize more about your own habits, your own behavior, why you are the way you are, what kind of element there is within your relationship. I tell clients about this one trick when they start to tell me that they feel very anxious when they think about money. And I always say, when you're feeling that way, try and remember the first time you felt like you feel now. And it's often not about money. It's often about, I was in kindergarten and I was worried nobody would like me, or my mother was mad at me for some reason, or I had to bring home a report card and it didn't have good grades and I was really anxious. And it's those things. They don't say, well, I remember when I was 12 and I lost my piggy bank. It's almost never about money. And yet connecting that, how did you feel the first time, lets them start to understand a little bit better. Oh, maybe this isn't about money. This is about fear of, will I be okay? Something is going to happen to me. How do I fix that? And then if money is the hurdle, the obstacle, then we go about addressing that. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get your phone number, Dr. Francis.
Sure. It's 413-773-3333.
And you can go to hugyourmoney.com. We'll be back with much more with the Money Doctor, Dr. Francis Ram, right here on Financial Fitness.
Financial Fitness with the Money Doctor is underwritten by Franklin County Technical School. We build futures. Visit fcts.us or call 413-863-9561.
Welcome back to Financial Fitness. I'm Jess Tyler, along with the Money Doctor, Dr. Francis Ram. Hi.
So we are back with Hugh Massey, and I asked you before the break to think about a story where somebody's understanding of their DNA behavior really changed their trajectory. Do you have one for us?
Yeah, I was thinking about that story, and I go back to one of the early client cases that I worked on, where a relatively young couple, I'd call it, if you're 39 years old and you've worked hard and sold a business, he was a partner in a tech business and sold it and made some capital out of that.
Sure.
And then the conversation, and so he's a risk taker, he's a fairly driven sort of person, but he's also got his wife, life partner, and they've got three younger kids. And then the question becomes, well, what do we do? What do we do now for the family? And she's completely opposite to him. And this is true in a lot of married couples, particularly first marriages.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
That you're opposite because you tend to marry somebody that you think is going to complete you. That's sort of naturally what happens.
Yeah.
Second marriages can be different, but so they're opposite, and we've got to, and in a way, this guy Frank had to deal with or build a plan that would make his wife feel secure, but him have some freedom.
Yeah.
To maybe do something else entrepreneurial.
Sure.
But here's the thing, natural DNA behavior, he's a high risk taker, but he kept saying to us as the wealth managers, because I was still a wealth manager at the time, I don't want to take any risk with the money. So when we plotted all that out, and we got him to complete another questionnaire that was more around learned behavior. So we started the portfolio at very much lower risk, and only a little bit of the money at sort of medium to higher risk stuff.
Right.
And he would then always, every time he came in for a meeting, he would ask, where are the returns?
It's not making enough. I need more risk, right?
Yeah, and the whole process, and so it took quite a lot of years to educate him about risk and return.
Yes.
But he didn't want to move the portfolio.
Yeah.
Eventually, it started to move up. And I think that's where he started to become more financially educated and understand what it meant to take risk in the financial markets, which in a way is different to taking risks in business.
Yes.
But also, to keep the family safe as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then the flip side of it is that you start to deal with the spouse, and she's got the three children, and what allowance is made for education, all the sporting needs, and everything else. I have to do that too, because I've got a 15-year-old and a 14-year-old. There's lots of needs, but how do you manage the spending? But for her, we had to talk about it as a spending plan.
Mm-hmm.
And when that came into play and she understood that rather than as a budget, it felt better, because a budget for many people is mentally constrictive and controlling.
That's right.
And no one wants to be controlled. And I think it's a really hard thing for married couples, right? That if one's the earning the money, it sort of can be easy, or has inherited the money, to dictate terms. But I don't think you can control relationships like that, and you shouldn't be, because I don't think it'll last. And so changing the game on the wording here and saying, well, we've got to have a spending plan and some agreement
Yes.
on the spending, that led to a lot of changed behaviors, but also their marriage lasting.
Is it just changing the name of it though, or is it, like Francis, you've said before that you build in like money for vacation and money for some fun stuff.
Right.
Is it that too, along with just a name? Because to me, it just seems like,
Sure.
okay, you're just changing the words.
There's a bit of changing the words and how it's expressed and managed, but it's still the same. It's still the same thing. At the end of the day, there needs to be something left over
Right.
for tomorrow and some ring fencing put on it and
Yeah,
discussion. But if you say budget, it's just an immediate turn off in people's heads.
Exactly. We actually call ours Hug Your Budget, but the hug makes it a little bit friendlier. But we
Yeah.
constantly are educating. You're not making a budget. You're tracking reality. We don't ask anybody to make a budget because they will fail. Nobody can make a budget that works until you track reality and you have some idea of where the spending in your spending plan actually needs to happen or actually is happening. And then you can dial it in and get a bottom line that you
Right.
like. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think for Jess, for the question you're asking, the communication in all of this is really important. And so the words that get used do send off triggers. Like the
Yes.
word goal, we all talk about goals-based financial planning. Well, goal is a frightening word for any human that's more of a relational person. When I talk about life desires, something a bit softer.
Yes.
And then how does that conversation take place, right? That's something that's also important and providing some people like me with options. in how we decide. So the communication part is very important rather than just talking about the money structure of the whole thing. It's the whole package.
You know, you just did it again, Hugh, not in a report, but in your conversation. When you said goal is a really frightening word to people, you just held the mirror up for me and made me realize I never, ever say to anybody, I mean, since the 5 years I worked with John Hancock when I was very young, I never say to anybody, what's your goal? Let's set some goals. I always say things like, well, what are we trying to accomplish here? And in what period of time? And that's not contrived. I just don't think setting goals, although, you know, theoretically setting goals means you try for something, right? But it isn't that useful in my experience in solving your financial problems. Setting a goal is just a thing that you might be setting yourself up to fail at. I would rather look at small milestones. What are we going to do next? How are we going to accomplish that? Get to the next point.
So we must be, again, Francis, on the same frequency, because you just talked about small milestones. So,
Yes.
and I was about to say it, you know, I am a big believer in the work of BJ Fogg and called Tiny Habits. And I think that when you talk about I've learned, if I'm going to get someone to change their behavior, let's say that they are spending a lot of money, they've got to probably change their whole life in some way. But how do you go start doing that? And so my suggestion is to find one area of your life that you would like to make a change in. So it could be that let's just be healthier.
That's right. Didn't we just do a show about this, Jess? Just change one thing. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So even if spending's a problem, just make one life change. And maybe it just starts off with go walk the dog for 15 minutes every day, or go and play in the park with your kids at night for 20 minutes if you're a dad and you're working hard. And then when that gets cemented in, you build it up.
Right.
And you start to realize that this is actually enjoyable, and you want to make a whole lot of other changes because it all flows together. You know, and I know from my own experience, probably 8 years ago, I did this. I'd come off a very stressful period business-wise, a lot of travel, etc. I wasn't as healthy as I should be. I'd stacked on some weight, but I love golf, and I was fine. And when I found a golf guy, a golf pro, teaching golf yoga essentially at the club. So I just made the time three days a week for an hour. I go there and get on the floor and do the exercises. But what that led me to was not only playing more golf, more time with the family, but I got in the gym and started to ramp up, my health. And then you change your eating.
Yeah.
And that all naturally flows to what you change your money on, right?
Yes.
What you spend your money on, and then the lifestyle or the life experiences becomes important. So it's all interlocking. It's all a flow, and your relationships get better.
Yeah, that's
which is
interesting.
key. So
No, please continue. Yeah.
No, I just wanted to say that I think that's really what I wanted to bring out, that start with something small that you enjoy or could enjoy, and go and build up from that. But if the change is go start saving,
right.
You probably someone might do it for a little while, but it won't stick, and it's a grind.
I think that's true. I remember in the show I said, just go out for a walk. I didn't say fix your finances. And I think Jess was a little surprised, like, really, go out for a walk? Just change one thing. The rest of the things will follow. You'll feel good about your accomplishment. You'll notice some positive reinforcement that what you did made you a little happier, and you'll be more ready to take on the next small change. So this is a really very personal question to ask you, because again, we're getting close to time here, but in all the years that you've been doing this, have you changed anything personally about your financial habits because of what you've learned? Boy, you're on the spot.
Yes, I have. I think that when I was younger and I was practicing as a CPA and in the early stages of being a wealth manager, I was one of those that was just always busy counting how much money was in the bank account, and that, what was my rate of return for the year. what were other people making, and I was making judgments about myself and how I would live and comparing myself to others. And I think that's the worst thing that you can do. And it led to very constricted, sort of, in a way, I had an affluent life, but miserable.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think as I started to explore myself and realize that the way I look at, the deal with money is I look at money through people, that it's actually not about money itself. It's about how people behave, relationships, that I got onto my life purpose probably at 34 years old, somewhere around there, that I wanted to help people become financially self-empowered.
Yeah.
And when I realized that that wasn't about money itself, it was about behavior, everything changed in my life.
Yeah. Yeah, we tend to compartmentalize money as though that's money, it's over there. And it's really, we talk about it all the time, it's intrinsically tied to everything that we do.
But you can allow yourself to be judged by it, Francis, and that's the problem, or other people to judge you by how much you've got or what you're doing. And
That's
I think
right.
that's where a lot of mistakes get made and a lot of mental health issues come up.
Yeah. Or what you think someone else has, because everything looks perfect online, but that's not necessarily what they have.
Yeah,
How many times do people say that?
and you don't know how miserable their life is underneath, or whatever
Right.
else is going on. There's so many things you don't know, right? So it's wrong to live yourself according to how somebody else is.
I always like to leave our listeners with something practical. And one thing I would say is if anybody is interested in contacting you, do this report. It's really eye-opening, and you'll find something in there about yourself that is really valuable. I'm sure of it. But just let me ask you, if you were visiting a house, if you were doing like a house call as the DNA behavior doctor, right? It's a two-part question. What symptom would you tell people not to ignore? And what can they do? What could they change right now, today, to begin making a change in their financial recovery, if you will?
I think the first thing is just to is to have the approach of love yourself, give yourself some grace, and then it's really just to go back into the self-awareness and look at what are the three best decisions you made in life and what are the three worst ones, and what's the pattern, and there will be a commonality between the two. And from that, and you link that to who you are, you're going to find your pathway forward.
Yeah, very
Because the
interesting.
three best ones, you're probably following your strengths, and you had a little bit of courage with it, depending on what it was.
Yep.
And the three worst ones, you were in the struggles, which are a flip side of the strength, and you lost your discipline.
Yep. And you probably knew. You knew up here, like something's not quite right. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's usually a linkage with all of them.
Yeah. Speaking of a link, would you tell people how to get in touch with you?
So the easy place to find me is on LinkedIn, Hugh Massey in Atlanta, on LinkedIn. So I'm really the only one. And then at DNA Behavior, you can go to dnabehavior.com. And if any of you just want a quick way to get started with DNA, you can go to our website app, godna.ai, and get started there.
All right. In the meantime, Francis, can we get your number?
Sure. It's 413-773-3333.
And you can go to hugyourmoney.com. Thank you, guys. This was so much fun.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Thanks, Hugh. Yeah. It was fun. It was really fun to see those reports come back in, and they were very detailed. And you did send it back saying if you want to fill out the full thing, you can go here and get more information. But yeah, I would encourage Jess, if you want to try this.
Check it out.
Yeah, you really like it, I think. Yeah. Financial Fitness with the Money Doctor is underwritten by Hug Your Money.
Permission granted to chase your dream.
Will you help us spread the word about financial fitness? Please like, subscribe, and choose all. Thank you.